maybe Microsoft wasn't pulling our legs when they said they were going to be interested in doing even more acquisitions after the Activision one goes through. Now, that one hasn't even gone through, but we have this new leak / rumor that Microsoft is actually in talk with a major publisher about an acquisition, and I definitely want to get into this. Now, this is one that I think Microsoft should probably do. They should definitely do more like this. I think that if you want to run a service like Game Pass and you want that to be successful worldwide, you need to appeal to people worldwide. You can't just have one specific type of game, and I think that's one of the reasons why what Microsoft is doing is such a big thing, because if you think about it, people want, some family-friendly games. They want, sports games. They want adventure. They want RPG. They want a mix of games depending on who the person is. Like, I like a wide variety of games, so, it's always a great thing for me. And, for me personally, I love the fact that Microsoft is still in talks and still want to, play with the big boys, so to speak, because at the end of the day, Sony is the one that continually wins these console races and things like that. Almost everyone. Sans the PS3 era, which we know what happened there, but still, obviously Microsoft wants a bigger piece of the pie and wants to be able to compete. Clearly the Xbox is going to be able to compete, but you also need to compete on different fronts, and we see Sony attacking these fronts. They're obviously going after the idea that PC is a thing that they could put PlayStation games on phones. You can expand IP out there, and I think that's a very smart thing, but at the end of the day, I think it still comes down to the console for these people, and having a wide variety of console stuff just is a smart thing to do. So I want to get into this. If you guys are watching, please leave a like on the video. I'm looking to get 100 likes on all my videos. I know it is a very small goal, but a goal that I'm shooting for nonetheless. Also, I wanted to point out that we kind of have a hurricane coming this way, so maybe perhaps if you don't see any videos for a few days, probably something happened with the power, and you know what, things happen, and hopefully everything ends up all right. This isn't my first rodeo, so to speak. So Microsoft has talked to major Japanese publishers about acquisition, according to gaming journalist Imran Khan, who claims that Microsoft is in talks with major publishers for the Game Pass libraries. Former GameByte and Game Informer writer Imran Khan has indicated that Microsoft has been in talks with major Japanese publishers about acquisitions in order to grow the Xbox Game Pass library. As Microsoft continues to grow its Xbox Game Pass service, scooping up a well-known Japanese publisher could dramatically increase the number and variety of titles available in the service. Microsoft has spent the last several years acquiring multiple game developers and publishers under its Game Studios brand, and this latest rumor indicates that the trend seems likely to continue. In addition to acquiring development studios such as Tim Schafer's Double Fine Productions, the studio behind Psychonauts 2, Microsoft has also purchased Doom and Skyrim publisher Bethesda Game Studios in a move that has drawn both praise and scorn from some gamers. In early 2022, also, we know Microsoft announced its desire to acquire Call of Duty publisher Activision Blizzard. Speaking on the Giant Bomb podcast, Khan stated that Microsoft is interested in acquiring at least one major Japanese publisher and has been engaged to talks to that end. Khan reasons that much like Netflix began to produce more original content in recent years to avoid paying licensing fees for carrying existing programs, Microsoft is seeking to move more development in-house rather than paying licensing fees to add games from other developers and publishers to Xbox Game Pass. References rumors earlier this year about a potential acquisition of video game publisher EA by Amazon. Host Jeff Grubb noted that Microsoft may also be in a hurry to acquire new developers and publishers due to increased competition after high-profile acquisitions such as Tencent and Sony's stake in Elden Ring developer From Software. One complaint that Microsoft has faced ever since the launch of the original Xbox is the lack of quality Japanese titles available, particularly when compared to Sony PlayStation. Acquiring a Japanese studio actually could go a long way towards addressing the issue. Now, a possibility likely to excite many Western gamers and even potentially draw in more gamers from Japan, which is where Microsoft has consistently struggled to gain any kind of foothold. Although Microsoft has yet to make any official announcements about acquiring a Japanese publisher, Grubb stated that he thinks Microsoft is likely to make a move if and after their acquisition of Activision Blizzard is approved by regulators. With companies such as Sony and Embracer Group, which recently acquired multiple studios and IPs from powerhouse Japanese publisher Square Enix, growing their roster of talented developers, it only makes sense that Microsoft would attempt to do the same. Acquiring a Japanese developer or publisher could help Microsoft remain competitor in the increasingly consolidated world of video game publishing, but could also lead to concerns from gamers that Western ownership could erode of some of what makes these publishers unique. Now, no matter how Microsoft chooses to proceed, it's likely to end the trend of high-profile acquisitions is going to continue for the foreseeable future. Now, the reason why I like the idea of Microsoft doing this, and quite frankly, picking up a publisher makes a lot of sense. And people, I think right away, I feel like you go to the Sega well, right? Sega has a ton of IP. They've got a ton of things that would make a lot of sense to do that. And Microsoft has more than enough money to pay that, off completely. So I think that would make a ton of sense. So I think that that's a very smart deal. And it is so funny to me that I realize that the Activision deal is a very expensive deal and it's a big deal. But it's like, to me, that seems way more held up than, it should be, considering, Tencent and even Sony can go out there and seem to be able to request kind of whatever they want at this particular time. So yeah, like I said, I do find it to be a little bit odd. I find it to be a little bit strange, but I like the fact that what Microsoft is doing is not letting up on things. You can't just let things up. You can't. Sony's out there buying stakes in buying companies. Microsoft should be out there doing the same. And with Game Pass, it makes sense to do some of these things. Imagine, if they did get Sega, the Yakuza games have done very well in Game Pass. All those types of games just do extremely well. And I think that it's going to make a ton of sense for them to go out there and pick something up like that. If you pick up a publisher, I think that's going to be a little bit easier long term than just buying multiple studio after studio. So I do think that there is some credence to possibly picking up like a Sega along the way, which makes a lot of sense. And I hope that they can be able to kind of do that. And before people go, oh well, they can't buy that, they can't do that, honestly they can. It would get approval as well, but you have to remember, back in the day, Microsoft actually tried to pick up Nintendo. They got laughed out of the room or whatever, but it's still something that they attempted to do, and so they actually have the capital to make something like that happen, even through subsidiaries and things like that, which again makes all the sense in the world. So yeah, I hope that they go out there and that they just do a tremendous job nailing what they have to do. And Microsoft has been relatively hands-off as well, so there is that to kind of think about as well now. And look forward to seeing what they have to kind of have to show for it. I think that's the main thing. You got to do something that's going to attract people. So with that being said, let me know what you guys think. Who do you want to see them pick up? There's when I'm thinking of Japanese publishers, there's not a ton that come to mind, but I think Sega would be the one that Microsoft has the best relationship with. It's one that we could definitely see happen sooner rather than later. So sound off, rate, comment, subscribe, rack 'em up, fact 'em up, crap gamer 'em up. Thank you so much for watching. Crap Gamer out.